I should bungee jump off the Eiffel Tower. That's how I'm going to die, and I refuse to die until that happens. This is We Have Concerns. Hi, Jeff Cannata.
Hi, Anthony Carboni.
Hello, concerned citizens. Jeff, we all know it is a truth widely known.
Yeah.
That money cannot buy happiness.
Money can't buy happiness, but it can buy things that make me happy.
Oh, but Jeff.
Yeah.
We have read so many studies. We have read not just studies, but spiritual documents. We've seen so many YouTube channels and gurus and wise people tell us that we cannot get that happiness from things. Happiness must come from within. There must be an internal contentment.
Right. So buy things that I can put inside me, like food and drugs. Right. Things
Food
that
and
will
drugs.
actually go inside me, and then the happiness will be within me that I paid for.
Yes. Well, okay. You're taking the Anthony position on this, where you've decided to go materialist and just very, very literal with this. And I love it. But I will say this, Jeff. You're not wrong to think to yourself,
need money? Get that money. Gotta have that money.
Is that bullshit though? That thing that everybody's saying? Is that bullshit?
Oh, that pat little money can't buy me love. That we can be happy without. I mean, here's my non-snarky, jokey response.
Yes, as the host of an award-winning science podcast.
I will drop the facade, and I'll talk to you from the heart. And
Okay,
I'll say,
please do.
What I truly believe is that, yes, money cannot buy happiness, but money is required to have comfortability. And happiness is much more difficult to attain without comfortability.
You're a hierarchy of needs man.
Exactly. Once needs are met, I mean, you can have some amount of happiness still struggling to make needs met, but it's a hell of a lot easier to have your needs met and then focus on happiness, because it's nice to not be constantly wondering where your next meal is coming from. You know what I mean?
Sure. And that's actually a really good point. And there is a very famous study from 10 years ago by Daniel Kahneman and economist Angus Deaton. They both won the Nobel Prize in Economics. And you probably remember this from 2010. It was the assessment of Americans' well-being and life satisfaction that said, if you remember, after an American household makes $75,000 a year, which now would be $90,000 because inflation is rampant and out of control. If you made $75,000 a year or $90,000 a year today, once you hit that plateau, any money you make above that makes you no happier. It's all gravy.
Right. But that's a lot of gravy. I mean, gravy is expensive, you know?
I mean, if you get the good gravy, if you make your own gravy.
That good gravy, that chunky little, like that lumpy gravy that's so good.
Ooh,
when you bite
baby.
into a lump. Ooh, you got to bite into that lump and it explodes in your mouth and you get that gravy lump. So good.
Now, I'm a smooth gravy man.
Oh, no, you got to have lumps in the gravy, dude. Come on.
There's something, because the gravy is a sauce in a way, and I don't know what the lumps are necessarily.
They're delicious, is what they are.
If the lumps are identifiable, then I'm okay with it. But I think I like a smooth gravy the same way I like a smooth peanut butter. I like my spreads and my sauces to be a little smooth.
Crunchy peanut butter all day, every day. You got to have that crunch, bro. You got to have that texture in there. You got to have a little variety.
Well, it actually says here that according to this 2010 study, you're fucking wrong. So it was just like a little side bit that they did about sauces and gravies and spreads. And they said, you're just fucking wrong.
This is what they won the Nobel Prize for?
That's what they won. Yeah, the actual money to happiness correlation thing, nobody cared about. They were like, finally, smoother, crunchy peanut butter. We got this locked down. But no, this is this 2010 study that said, hey, they they gave them a questionnaire every day, charted their answers about their, it was a questionnaire about their well-being, how you feeling, what's going on. And they charted that against their income. And they found that, hey, after you reach a certain amount of money, you good.
It seems like that would have wild regional variance, though, wouldn't it be? I mean, 75K in, part of our, even within our own country is different than other parts of the country, like here in Los Angeles or, New York City. It's very expensive places to live. I feel like you'd have to adjust for that, no?
Ding, 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 Jeff.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. This is one of those studies that we loved so much. And we love it because it's telling us something that we want to believe, right? If I can just get to this baseline level of money, I'll be happy. And it doesn't matter if I make any more, because those people who have a lot more than me, they're no happier than I am. That's a good thing to hear, right?
Reassuring. Yes. You feel like, it takes the pressure off.
Yeah. And it's the same reason. It's the same reason we love stories about celebrities and millionaires that are unhappy, right? We're just like, aha, I knew it. I knew that they couldn't be any happier. All that money, all it buys you is more pain, right? We love to hear that. Here's what was going on at the same time. In 2010, there was a Harvard psychology doctoral student and software product engineer named Matthew Killingsworth, and he was developing his own measurement tool. It was an iPhone app called Track Your Happiness.
Okay.
Pings people at random intervals. This is 2010, right? So this is the dawn of apps.
Yeah, this is when science by app seemed like a good idea.
This was it was like, what could go wrong with science by app? So it pings the users at random intervals, asks them about activities and feelings using a sliding scale for answers, right? And this app kind of made a little bit of waves back in the day because its first finding was that wandering minds bring unhappiness. And it was a great time to come to that conclusion, because that's when we were all worried about the dangers of multitasking and the importance of transcendental meditation had just become a thing, right? So,
right.
And when I say just become a thing, I mean just kind of entered the zeitgeist. So he's been continuing to use the app and publish findings over the last 10 years. And now he's a senior fellow at the Wharton School, the Wharton School of Business. And he has since used his app to measure the link between happiness and income with 10 years of non-geographically biased, large sample size data.
So he's been running this app since 2010 and finally is like, okay, 10 years in, here's what I think. He's like, turns out, more money, fewer problems.
Yes, exactly. Just published in good old PNAS. We love PNAS, the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. While the connection is stronger for life satisfaction than it is for experienced well-being, it doesn't disappear for the latter after $75,000 or $90,000. Money keeps buying happiness, even for the affluent.
Wow.
1,700,000. He was wrong.
Biggie was wrong.
Here's the problem with Biggie. He was going with his own anecdotal personal data. And remember that your personal experience is no substitute for data, Biggie.
As a scientist, Biggie should have known that. But we all get clouded by our own subjectivity sometimes.
You know what it was? It was too much. It was too much video games. He was playing all that Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis all the time.
Yeah.
Listen. No, go on, please. One more Biggie joke. Give us one more Biggie joke.
No, it's too late now.
It's too late now?
The moment passed. Yeah.
Come on, comedy rule of threes. Give me one more Biggie joke. Jeff, can you give me one more?
Jeff, can you by setting it up?
Jeff, can you please give me one more Biggie joke, please, so we can continue the episode? Jeff.
No. I lost it too. I lost it. It's not going to work now. Come on, man.
Jeff, you can't leave everybody hanging. You're leaving me hanging. You're leaving the concerned citizens hanging. Where's that third Biggie joke? We need it for the comedy rule of threes. It's not a pattern until we have it.
Yeah. I was going to transition into some Dr. Puff Daddy, who inherited all of the scientific data.
So Biggie you believe in the comedy rule of two and then a third that goes off in another direction.
Sometimes you got to zag.
Sometimes you got to zag on him.
You can't just always zig.
Yep. And that's what we learned from this study. Or is it? It's not. 1,725,994 experience sampling reports from over 30,000 employed U.S. adults using his app.
They're happier when they got more money.
More money, less problems, just like you said. And let me tell you something, Jeff. You may think, okay, this is an American study, though, mostly. This is an American situation. This is a particularly capitalist American problem.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
We live in a country where if you need to have surgery, it could put you in debt for years and years and years. Right?
Yeah, right, exactly.
So obviously, America's stresses are unique. But Jeff, what if I told you there were 2 studies published this month?
There's an app study and a non-app study?
There's a non-app study. And let me tell you something.
Now I'm perked up.
This one is even more interesting.
Yeah?
This one was done I
telling me there's like an East Coast, West Coast? Is there some sort of Tupac study that I should be aware of?
There is a Tupac study. And it's, there is a Tupac study. There's a poetic justice.
It flies in the face of all the Biggie data we've been discussing.
Let me tell you something. There's a Suge Knight study that's going to invalidate both of them, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. But we'll never be able to prove any of those findings.
We did 3 that time. Everything's fine, everybody. We're back.
We're back on track.
This was a study that was done in Nigeria, and it was done basically to prove the old adage, money can't buy happiness. Happiness must come from within. It must come from well-being.
Yeah.
Nigeria, this is a developing nation is what it's called. And it's basically like, hey, the money issues there are very different than they are in a lot of other places in the world. And what they did was
they sent emails to everybody about this prince.
Yeah.
And all of the money that he could give you. And they saw how many people responded to the email with their bank account and social security numbers.
And they were like, wow, they really paid it forward. See how money doesn't matter?
Yeah.
2 groups of people in 2 small towns. One group was given basically micro payments. They were given basically like $100 a week for 6 weeks.
Okay.
The other group was given counseling and therapy for 6 weeks.
I get it. So is it just give me money and I'll be happier, or help me work through my inner life and I'll be happier?
Yes.
All right.
Do you want to guess how it went?
I want to first point out that there's innumerable variables that are at play here with these 2 groups.
Of course.
I hope that there was some account taken of that.
Jeff, how many times do we have to say it before you believe it? Science is a feeling.
Oh. So what does this feeling suggest? The people who got $100 a week, you say a week, a month, what? $100?
Yeah, $100 a week for 6 weeks.
$100 a week for 6 weeks.
Versus
happier?
Oh, they were way happier, Jeff.
Oh, I believe that. I believe that because therapy is all about discovering what makes you unhappy. So at the end of 6 weeks, they're probably just getting to the point where they're like coming to terms with some shit.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, the other people are like, I got $600 so far.
Now, let me tell you something. They were given the nervous New Yorker package. They got to go to therapy like 3 times a week. So they had a lot of work, but yeah, you're right. But that's something.
The accumulated value is far greater than $600. The 3 therapy sessions a week. I mean,
is it, Jeff? Is it? Is it if the $600 made people happier? Jeff?
Well, I'm just saying, if you want to take that $600 and apply it to therapy, you ain't going to get very far. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, and that's especially here in the United States, once again.
Yeah.
But I find this utterly fascinating because I do believe, well, number one, you are correct. With 6 weeks of therapy, and I thought this same thing, you're laying the groundwork. You're doing much better probably, but like, therapy is a long-term thing. So stopping after 6 weeks is like, really? Like, really?
Yeah, and the process of therapy it doesn't necessarily mean that you're feeling super happy about realizing what issues you're going through. You know, it's such a like subjective reporting of your own happiness level is such an seems like such a unscientific thing in and of itself.
Yeah, but you would think that like within those 6 weeks, you'd be given sort of coping skills and kind of the basic tools you need to deal with anger and with sadness and with stress. Like you're working on those basic tools that help you get through, like that keep you a little centered, right? Which is what we're talking about. And let me tell you something, man. You should just take $600. Just take $600 is what I would say.
So wait, so give me the real result of this study. The people with $600 just reported that they were happier. They're like, remember, this study rules. This study's sweet.
Nobody's ever asked directly, are you happy? Did the money make you happier? Did the therapy make you happier? Remember, they are given daily a questionnaire just about their life in general.
Created by Bernard Pivot of Bouillon de Couture.
And so
the only questionnaire that matters, you know, what's your favorite word?
Right.
What's your favorite sound? What is a sound you do not like?
Yeah.
You know?
That was what they were given. They were given the Inside the Actor Studio special. They were Liptoned.
Yeah,
and
you gotta Lipton all of them.
You're gonna Lipton all of them, buddy. But no, so they were, you know, they were asked about their day every day, and basically the answers just started getting better. You know, as they were rating these things, it just started getting better. It started getting better.
I had an extra $100.
Yeah.
How did it feel when you woke up in the morning? I had an extra $100.
I had an extra $100 and it was great. And I think something that's important, and this is something I've been thinking about a lot as I've been watching the sort of media and the sort of trends that are popular right now, you know, especially in America, the tiny house, the minimalist lifestyle, you know, all of this stuff that's like, oh, look at how little you actually need and blah, blah, blah.
Well, what's her name? The get rid of your shit lady. What's her name?
Marie Kondo. Whereas I think the Marie Kondo thing is a little different. This is more sort of like recasting not having much as aspirational. Well, Marie Kondo fits into this in a way. Yeah. We're recasting not having much as aspirational so we can feel better about not having as much, even though we're placed into a societal situation that is keeping us from having much. Right. So we're choosing to fetishize the sort of the boundaries that we've been put in so we can feel better about them.
Let me present an alternative hypothesis.
Sure.
We are conditioned to live inside a society that trains us every day, all the time, via advertising that we're bombarded with everywhere. I mean, walking down the street, there's advertising. Turning on any screen, there's advertising. Any audio you hear has we are bombarded all the time with the notion that you're not happy unless you've got this thing or the next thing or three of those things, or you better have that thing or you're not going to be happy. And so this self-reporting of happiness quotient, I think, is invariably tied to the ability to acquire things. And therefore, I think we are unreliable narrators in this tale, right? We are, I mean, I think that we've been poisoned. Our own happiness has been poisoned by capitalism itself. So you can't even.
I do not disagree. Believe me, I do not disagree. You've heard me go on 1,000 rants, but I think there's something in the middle here where, we should not want to consume as much, and there is certainly something there where we've been conditioned for advertising and everything, but also, society, especially American society right now, is not built to take care of very basic needs. And I think that's why such a small amount of money can make such a difference in happiness, right? Like these people who are getting $100 a week aren't going out and fucking fucking flexing. You know what I mean? Like they're not living like hype beast lifestyles. $100 a week is like, oh shit, bills are paid.
Yeah.
Not all the bills,
Well,
but a couple of the bills are paid, you know?
This is an argument for universal basic income is what this is. This is an argument for like, let's just give people some money.
No. Well, sort of. I'm also not a proponent of universal basic income. I'm a proponent of universal services that make less income needed. I believe that universal basic income, if everybody has $1,000 in their pocket, I think the price of everything goes up by $1,000. I understand I'm oversimplifying, but once you start putting that money directly into people's pockets, it's like how we have limitations on how much people can charge for a gallon of milk. You would have to put those limitations on every basic need that people have. Whereas if you just give people the basic needs, they need to make less money, right? And that $100 that you put in everybody's pocket makes a little. It doesn't make as much of a difference, you know.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but I don't know what you put under the umbrella of basic need. I mean, housing, food, healthcare. What are we talking? We're talking cell phones. I mean, what's a need? Sure. I think taking the choice out of people's hands is a bit Orwellian, you know?
Well, but that's a very American way to think of it, because if you go to our neighbors to the north, or if you go anywhere in Europe or any place like that, it's like there are certain things that they have agreed upon. It's easy to agree upon certain things that everybody needs, right?
Sure.
You can start with healthcare. You can start with I don't see why internet and telephone and water. I should turn on the tap and water should come out, and I shouldn't have to worry about a water bill showing up. That's all.
Yeah, but then you have, people not valuing it and using it without any care for sensibility.
I'm going to drink this entire glass right now. I don't give a fuck.
Well, dude, no, save that. Mm-mm. Save it. We need some of that for later.
I drink like 8 of these a day, bro.
We're only in the first segment. We're in the first segment.
I'm parched already. Jeff.
Oh, man.
We haven't even gotten to the ad break and I'm parched. But I think, instead of like before we turn this into sort of it is an economic argument, 100% an economic argument or an economic debate or an economic discussion. But I think to me, what this says is not that therapy isn't great, not that happiness doesn't come from within. I think it just says that so many societies in the world right now are not built to get that primal fear for survival out of people's heads enough to where they can live not even an extremely happy and joyous life, but just a life without nagging fear. And I think that's what the study says to me more than anything else, right?
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're not maximized as a society for happiness by any stretch. Nobody. But also, I think the notion of even an expectation of happiness is a relatively modern phenomenon, right? Yeah. I don't think there's a lot of people in the 1860s who were sitting around wondering how happy they were going to be day to day, right? I think
like there were, but I think it was less expected for people to be happy. We should versus 1860. We should be like, I should be immeasurably happier than somebody from 1860. And in a lot of ways we are. And I think we are. I think we genuinely are,
but also
up.
Yeah. And there are stresses and things that people from 1860 would have never fathomed.
For somebody who loves utopian sci-fi so much, you sure don't want to get there. Like,
no, you want to get there. I'm just pushing back on you.
It's like, why should we expect happiness? Of course we should expect happiness, but we should expect contentedness. That's the difference. I expect a lack of fear, and I expect a little bit of contentedness.
Well, contentedness, I think, goes back to the original point, which is there's nothing external that can make you content. Contentedness comes from within. And I do think that even in the face of all these studies, you can't have contentedness with a constant capitalistic need to acquire.
No.
Right? If we're constantly looking for the next thing to get, we're never going to be content.
But
right?
see,
and that's what
this
our
is-
society instills in us.
Right, but I think that is also something. I think that's a bill of goods that we've also partially been oversold. Like it's like when oil companies make commercials telling me to bring my own straws and bags to the grocery store because we can do it together, and they're dumping like so many chemicals, but they're like, hey, we can do this together. I think we're sort of being sold a little bit the idea of, hey, we're overly commercial, and we are, but it's been hammered into our own heads so much that we're worried that, hey, do I want too much? And we're not worried like, hey, why isn't the doctor free?
I'm on that page with you for sure. Yeah. I mean, those things should be. It's an insane notion.
Do I want too much by going into debt for college? Am I just wanting too much for myself? No, you're not. Don't let society tell you that. College should be free.
Yeah. No, I just was talking to a friend the other night, or last night, who had a freak health issue this year, and it wasn't COVID related. It was a freak thing that put him in the hospital for 21 straight days.
Jesus.
And he this is someone you know, by the way. He looked at the bills. Like, thank God he had health care with his profession, but he looked at the bills, and it was, multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars to stay in the world's most expensive hotel for 21 days, right? It was to be in a hospital room for 21 days was multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars. If he didn't have health coverage through his work going in, he would have been completely destitute, right? He'd been wiped out.
Yeah.
And the idea that we live in a country where there's like 14 people who gained like $2 trillion in personal wealth over the last year, and yet other people can just be destitute because they got a freak health issue. It's just, on the face of it, is insanity.
Yeah.
It is pure insanity. And like, anyone that frames it any differently than that can go fuck themselves, because like, I mean, I understand like any other argument of like, well, no, about healthcare and about, level of care and the other countries, all that shit. It's like, fuck you. This person, by pure chance, by pure happenstance, was fortunate enough to have a healthcare plan sync up with the moment in his life he needed it most. Most of his life, he didn't have that. Like, it's just insane that we allow that to be a possibility in a country this wealthy.
And that's the thing is like, when people say, oh yeah, but we have first class care. We have care that countries around the world, they'd be jealous of it. It's like, really? Well, show it to the 5 out of 10 people that can't afford the doctor right now. Show them it's the best care. Why don't we get them some basic care? And if you want to, you can have the best care for yourself since you're so worried about it. But so I think both things are 100% true. I think we are too commercial. We are too worried about material things. But on the other hand, like, I think the reason money makes everybody happier is because our needs aren't being met.
I agree with all of that. Can I ask one more question just to sort of wrap up this topic?
Absolutely.
Based on this study?
Yeah.
Do you think here's another thing that occurs to me as to how this one study could have been skewed a bit. Do you think that giving someone $100 they didn't expect just makes you happy? Just because, like, I didn't expect to get $100. You gave me $100. That's pretty great. Like, if I walked over to your house right now, Anthony, and left a cake on your front porch, that would feel pretty good. You'd feel happy. It has nothing to do with money. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh my God, I didn't expect this thing to happen, and now I got it.
I'd feel happier if you left $100 instead of a cake. If I'm
Have you tried to
honest.
buy a cake in Los Angeles?
I'll get my
they
own.
Cost about $100.
I'll get my own cake. I'll get my own cake, and I'll take a little money for myself. Do a little something else with it. Hey, speaking of, speaking of money, give us yours.
Oh man, it would make us so happy.
It would make us happy, and it would make
so
you happy because material things can't make you happy. But it would make us happy because
there's anything you've learned over the last 20 minutes of listening to us, it's that you should give us your money. It'll make you happier to unburden yourself of some dollars. It doesn't have to be a lot of dollars.
No.
Because there's a lot of you. See, that's the beauty of this pyramid scheme we've got worked out here, is all you got to do is give a few bucks. A dollar gets you access to the Discord, and it'll make you feel great. $1 a month, that's nothing. And then because there's thousands of you, see, you could all give $1 and that'd be great. Or you could give even more and get even better stuff in return. How cool is that?
Yeah, we do patron hangouts. We do bonus audio. We do extra episodes. We do all kinds of stuff. If you want to find out how, and this is the only way that we keep the show going, and it is an excellent. It is a large source of income for both of us right now during this time. And if you want to help us out, it would be patreon.com/wehaveconcerns.
Hey, Anthony, I got some more bad news that we should rectify, or we should reckon with, I should say.
Lay it on me.
And that is, we fucked the planet pretty good.
Yeah. Is this a high five situation?
Well, maybe. You can tell me at the end if we ultimately get into a high five. We got to get out of here, and by here, I mean Earth.
Okay.
We gotta get out of here. We fucked this place up. We got to find a new place that we can live on, and maybe fuck that place up, or maybe try a little harder this time and keep the species going elsewhere, right? Just get off of this blue marble.
Both, buddy. Why not both? Why don't we try a little harder on the next place, but also eventually fuck it up? Give yourself room for growth, but also let yourself fail. You know what I mean?
Let's be a little realistic about it.
Yeah.
Let's be a little. So the question is where?
Proxima B.
Where? Well, lots of folks are saying the moon. We can maybe have moon bases. There's been some really great Bond-based fiction that tells us moon bases are viable.
I don't. I hate the moon base idea so much.
Yeah, not a fan either.
I'm not a fan.
Other folks say Mars. Mars is closer. It needs
moms. Starring Tom Everett Scott.
It does. I hear men are from there.
Yeah.
Again, problematic. I don't know if you're aware of this, Anthony. Mars, not too hospitable a place. Not too welcoming for the old humans.
That's true.
What with all the carbon dioxide.
We sent the best of us. We sent Matthew Damon, and even he barely made it back.
That guy had to use his own poop.
He did
various things just to survive
so many things.
Short time.
Yeah, I think the thing that one of the things that like the Mars plans are all about is like, one, get to Mars, and we understand that's a terrible problem, right? It's really hard to do.
Yeah.
And then it's like 2, terraform Mars, and then it's like 3, happiness on Mars, and I just keep going like, we can't do 1, and we have no idea how to do 2. Yeah. We have no idea how we would terraform Mars. That's crazy. Do you know how long that would take?
Yeah, it's a very difficult thing. Also, I don't know if you remember, Anthony, but we did a story, I don't know how long ago. Time is a flat circle.
Yeah.
But we did a story on this very podcast, this very award-winning science podcast, about how really space wants to kill us.
Oh, all the time. We only did one episode about that. Only one.
All of these places, the gravity itself, the lack of gravity, the difference in gravity from Earth has real catastrophic results on the human body over long periods of time, right? Anybody that thinks that we're going to have a colony on Mars or the moon and it's not going to totally fuck up human bodies, really, that's they need to read the data or listen to our podcast.
You meant the force of gravity. I thought you meant that we wouldn't be able to listen to Gravity by John Mayer up there.
Or the film Gravity starring George Clooney.
Well, I don't want anybody who's colonizing space for us. I'd rather they don't watch Gravity.
That's probably a good idea.
I'd rather they just didn't. I'd rather we don't show it to them.
Yeah. It's just, don't don't scare them, you know.
But everybody who goes to Mars will get an iPod Shuffle with John Mayer's 2005 album Try, so they can listen to Gravity whenever they want.
It's the least we can do.
It's literally the least we can do.
Saving the species. Yeah. But yes, the difference in actual gravity on those planets is really, really bad on the body.
Yeah. So
this brings me to the article that I want to talk about today. There is a physicist and astrobiologist by the name of Pekka Janhunen. Pekka Janhunen. He's a Finnish meteorologist at the Institute of Finland.
Love it.
Pekka Janhunen. Yep. I practiced that.
Are you trying to summon him?
Pekka Janhunen. Yeah, it usually works if you stare into a mirror and say it 3 times.
Yeah. But from the twisted mind of Jordan Peele.
He has recently published a paper. This has not been peer reviewed yet, but it has, I think, some really fascinating ideas about an alternative to the moon and Mars.
Okay.
Professor Janhunen suggests that we should take a look at the dwarf planet Ceres, which is actually in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. This is a dwarf planet that it consists of, it has a ton of nitrogen, which we would need if we were going to recreate an atmosphere like Earth. Earth's atmosphere is 79% nitrogen. So it is rich in the kind of substance we might need to recreate an atmosphere. And he suggests not starting a colony on Ceres, but using Ceres as a mining planet and create a satellite system around Ceres that's orbiting Ceres. He goes into quite a bit of detail about how this would work, and I want to lay it out for you and get your opinion on what you think this is, the viability of this plan.
And if I say yes, we do it, and if I say no, we pack it up, we move on to the next thing.
Exactly.
As a society,
you get to decide whether we're doing it. You know, this is why we exist, is to make decisions like this for humanity.
It's a lot of pressure, but I promise that I'll weigh over everything considerably.
So Ceres is a 592 mile in diameter.
Too small.
Asteroid.
Too small.
Basically.
I already hate it. We're not doing it. You can stop right there.
What Professor
600
Janhunen,
miles or more.
Well, we're not living on the planet. Remember,
No,
we're orbiting
I know.
it.
I mean, aesthetically, 600 miles or more, I'm not going, and we're all not going.
592. It's so close.
It's so close, but that's the thing, Jeff. Is if we start missing our milestones now, and we start, if we don't hold our own high standards
slippery
up there,
slope?
it's a slip.
You're saying slippery slope?
And I don't just mean that because Ceres is a very slushy, brine-filled planet. I mean it because it's a metaphorical slippery slope.
Uh-huh. All right. Well, so what Janhunen is proposing is a series of colonies that exist in these cylinders. The cylinders each would be able to hold 57,000 people. And you could have theoretically a huge number, into the millions of people, by interconnecting these cylinders into this disc shape. So he's suggesting using massive magnets to connect these cylinders together, to link these cylinders together, and it's modular, so you could keep building out in this ring shape. So if you imagine
he wants to build Halo.
Yeah. I mean, this is a disc world, right? So this is that idea.
He wants to build Halo or like Space Station Alpha from Valerian.
Yes,
not the movie Valerian.
These are notions.
The comic Valerian. I mean, it was in the movie Valerian, but like, I'm cooler than that. Go on.
Yeah. This is something that has been introduced since the 60s, right?
Yeah.
Or the 70s, I think, was the first time somebody suggested this cylinder that we could spin fast enough to create artificial gravity.
Yeah, there was a lot of like
these
70s NASA. They used to commission people, sci-fi writers and artists, to make like what will the future look like, and there's a lot of like that NASA production art. I don't know what else to call it. That's like concept art. That was like these disk worlds and these colonies that like spun really quick, so centripetal force or centrifugal force would give us the gravity we needed.
Yeah, they would make a full revolution every 66 seconds.
Wow.
So just over a minute to make a full revolution. So they're spinning at quite a rapid rate, these massive cylinders inside.
Oh, and so the disc spins, right? But then I've got a really fun idea where the individual cylinders also spin. Like the,
no, that's it. That's it. The individual cylinders are spinning.
Yeah, and then the ring spins, and then they move around on it. I'm thinking of the zipper. I'm sorry, I'm thinking of the zipper from the county fair.
You're designing thrill rides. I don't think that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just invented the gravitron. You go on.
All right, so you're imagining it basically kind of looks like a hairbrush.
Yeah.
Right. So you've got this flat disc that is composed like the head of a brush, a hairbrush. And then each cylinder comes off of it perpendicular to the disc, like the hairs of what do you call it? The bristles of a hairbrush.
Okay.
Right. So that's what you're imagining. Each of those is spinning. And then on either side of those, the top and bottom of that, like a clamshell or like a compact for makeup, it like opens up like a clamshell on either side, above and below those cylinders. Those are giant mirrors that reflect sunlight onto the individual cylinders, creating enough. They actually work as solar panels, collecting energy, but also reflecting light onto those places to create artificial day and night and to help grow plants that you would need to, make food and have habitats.
I love it. Once again, though, I keep coming back to the sticking point of the 592 miles.
Not big enough for you.
Everything else, I love. I think this is so cool.
But we're not using this planet, which is basically what he's suggesting is we have big space elevators connecting Ceres to this orbiting system of this disk world. This disk world is orbiting Ceres, and we've connected it with space elevators so that we're able to get all of the raw materials off of Ceres and jettison them up to our floating habitat where humans actually live.
I love every part of it.
He says that the energy requirement to get the raw materials from Ceres up there is negligible. It would be fairly easy to do. And Ceres happens to have a lot of the stuff that we might need to create an artificial atmosphere and live as humans.
Well, this is why the moon base thing has gained such ground, other than the idea that people love the idea of a moon base, is also, hey, once we're up on the moon, a lot of things that we need to do to travel farther into space and to mine the things we need and to find the elements we need that will make interstellar travel and moving into being an interplanetary society becomes so much easier, right? Once you get off Earth, if you have a waypoint, that waypoint makes everything easier as long as you can comfortably live on that waypoint. I like the idea of Ceres as opposed to the moon, because putting shit on the moon will fuck up the Earth so badly.
Well, also the moon doesn't have shit.
The moon's got nothing.
We think Ceres has a shit ton of water. We know it has nitrogen. We think that it'll have a lot of this kinds of stuff that we might need, which makes it super useful. And the moon basically useless.
The only thing that we want from the moon is the ability to launch crafts without the effects of Earth's gravity, which is the dangerous and expensive part. But no, I love the idea of having this way station. Once again, Jeff, I just have to say, this 592 thing is not bothering you at all?
I don't understand why you have such a hard time with this. You're saying it's too small.
By like 8 miles. You don't... Am I crazy?
Yes.
You can tell me if I'm crazy, but I think I mean, it sounds perfect except for that. I don't understand when you were like, I want to run this by you and see how. I didn't understand that it was run it by you in that way where you mean, I just need you to say that this idea is wonderful. Like, I thought you meant genuinely bring up any issues that you have with this idea.
No, I like that you brought up some issues. I have other issues that you may want to consider that are the real downsides to this plan.
I mean, I've already checked out, but sure, go ahead.
The 600 thing, I know you like big round numbers.
You know, it's got nothing to do with that. It just feels like 600 would be enough, and 592 might fall a little short. But go on. What are some of the other downsides of this, other than the fact that it sounds wildly hard to do, crazily prohibitively expensive, and that it involves so much technology that we don't have yet? Go on.
Well, there's some of that, but the good professor thinks that we could do this in 15 years. He says in 15 years we could have a colony up there.
My dude's been in the sauna a little too long. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
hey, Polar
some
Bear
of the
Club,
other scientists
get out of there.
Some of the other scientists that have looked at this have said, well, his 15-year projection really depends a lot on exponential growth. He says we'll get to this point and that'll make us go here and go here and go here. So there's a lot of wishful thinking on the time frame.
It's optimistic project management, right? Like that's what he's doing. He's doing that thing where it's like, oh, you know, when you're like, oh, you know what I want to do is I want to put the smart lights all in my house. I'll just buy some of the smart lights because I'd love to move the whole house over to smart lights. And you're like, I'll take an afternoon and I'll do that. And then you realize like, oh no, all the smart lights aren't connecting together. And like some of them aren't working with your router. And like, you got to get a new router and then you got to change your network a little bit. And then you're like, oh, but this app doesn't do everything I want to do with the smart lights. So now I got to get another app for the smart lights. And then you got to take time to put the smart lights in. What I'm saying is this is a week-long thing. So if he thinks it's supposed to be an afternoon.
Yeah, no, his theory, using your analogy, is that you put up the first smart light and it makes the next 3 smart lights way easier to put in. And those 3 smart lights make the next 10 smart lights way easier to put in, which, as we know, if we've ever attempted to put in smart lights, that ain't how it works.
That ain't how it works at all, my guy. There are unexpected issues you're going to run into. You know, you can't know the unknowns. We say that all the time. You'll find out the unknowns along the way. But 15 years, I think if this was the sort of thing, if we could be in space in 15 years in a cool way, we'd be in fucking space right now. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
like, I know we're not trying very hard right now, but like, we were real bullish on space in like the 80s and 90s. We were like super bullish on space. We had the ISS and we had like all this stuff happening. We had Mir and we were all just like, oh, space is happening in a big fucking way. And I think if we could have done it, we would have.
Yeah.
You know, to a certain extent.
I think the whole Challenger explosion really derailed all that excitement.
Listen,
that's a discussion for a different time.
Look, do you know, I remember what I was doing during the Challenger explosion. There was a spelling bee that day. I was in the spelling bee.
I remember my teacher, Mrs. Lopez, wheeling in the CRT television on the stand so we could all watch the teacher go into space and then me not understanding. Anyway, again, different episode of the show. But let me tell you about the 3 biggest issues that other scientists seem to have with this plan. So the first is, yes, there's a lot of really awesome essential elements on Ceres that we can mine and we can use that would be essential to creating life and fostering life on an artificial habitat. Mm-hmm. But one element that is not mentioned in the paper at all that is essential is phosphorus.
Phosphorus.
Does not seem to exist on Ceres. It's essential to create RNA, DNA, ATP. All organisms on Earth need it.
Anything you heard about in biology, you've got to have that phosphorus.
Yes.
Anything you learned about.
So the other thing is, if we're going to mine Ceres in the way that he's talking about in this paper, we're going to need a massive array of autonomous mining vehicles that you can guide via satellite. So we wouldn't send people down to Ceres to do this. We want to do it with autonomous vehicles. And the closest we've come to this was attempting to send a robot to Mars and have it bore into the surface of Mars. We did that on January 15th. A NASA Mars robot was declared dead after it failed to bury itself just 16 feet onto the surface of Mars. So we tried that.
Do they know the cause of death?
So far, I mean,
I bet it was.
It didn't do it.
I bet it was one of the rovers. I bet one of the rovers got jealous.
The rover killed it?
I bet one of the. I think one of the rovers got jealous.
I think you just want to become a space detective.
I think,
and you want to
listen.
You want a job solving this crime.
If there are two things you need opportunity and motive. And opportunity was up there.
That's your
and
one.
It had the
and
motive.
I loved it. That was amazing. Opportunity was up there. Oh, that was beautiful. That was beautiful.
I'll edit that out.
No, you dare not. I will kill you. Anyway, so we tried to send some sort of approximate mining. We can't do this yet. We do not have the ability to mine some shit yet.
We can't do it.
So that's a minor hiccup. Also, we sent a probe to Ceres, and it took 8 years to get there. So currently, no way to send humans on a spaceship for 8 years.
Now,
that we know of.
So we could do it in 15 years, but you got to spot me the 8 years it takes to get there.
I think so, yeah.
Because that's 23 years, my guy. That doesn't work that way. So you've got to spot us the 8 years that it takes to get there. We have to come up with the technology and the safe way to get there. This is 15 years from hitting Ceres is what he's talking about.
Yeah, he said it's so 22 years after mining begins.
22 years after mining begins, so that's 8 years from now. The mining thing has to work.
Yeah. Well, I was just about to read that. But this assumes the settlement's available power supply grows exponentially each year, beginning immediately and never stalling due to technological or logistical problems.
I would not give this dude a small business loan. I'm just going to say it. This dude does not get a small business loan from me. He doesn't have, listen, if that guy went onto physicist Shark Tank, he'd get laughed off by whoever the equivalent of the Dallas Mavericks guy is. I don't know enough about Shark Tank or sports. Mark Cuban.
Yeah, but it was a good reference either way.
Mark Cuban.
Yeah. But what do you think about this? I think this is kind of rad. So every conception I've had.
This is a 50-year plan. This guy says it's a 15-year plan, but it's a 50-year plan.
Regardless, I've every concept I've had of where we might go has been thinking about some sort of Mars colony or some version of the ISS, right? The International Space Station. This to me is different enough that it feels fresh and interesting, even though it uses a lot of concepts that have been around since the 70s. But it also kind of reconceptualizes my idea of what life on a quote other planet might be. It's not another planet. It's like he said we could have more people here eventually than on Earth, millions more, because it doesn't have the limit of surface area.
Do you know what the limit is?
And you're just getting
592 miles. I don't think we'd.
God damn it! You're really stuck on that number.
I don't think we'd get millions of people. I think we'd fall a little short because of that 592 miles.
Again, we're not on the planet.
I know, but we have to be around the planet. We have to be on the. I mean, it's not going to work, dude.
We're just sucking it dry of its beautiful resources. That's all we're doing.
Ceres is a giant fucking snow cone. It's a giant fucking slush ball. We're not. Listen, we could lose a Ceres. Like, if you're going to talk about dwarf planets, like Ceres is not like it's not one of the cooler ones. It's just one of the closer ones. Yeah. And like we can use up Ceres. That's totally fine. That's totally
exactly.
You don't want to use up
more
Earth.
Asteroids.
You don't want to use up Earth.
No,
we got a lot of shit on Earth.
I mean, we're doing that.
But Ceres, you could use up. But like, if it was 600 miles instead of 592, I'd feel a little better about the long term, about the longevity of it. But no, I think this is wonderful. And I'll tell you something. I would rather live on an orbiting space platform city than actually on the surface of another planet. I think that's cooler.
Well, Yanunen says it could be better, a lifestyle that's better than Earth. Because guess what? No natural disasters, no weather that we don't like. Ones. I mean, there's a lot of technological disasters that are possible, certainly. But no, you would have you're not at the whim of the planet. You're at the whim of, space debris, I guess.
And whoever the fucking robber baron space lord is who winds up owning it.
Yeah, Bezos. It will be the Bezos disk. We all know that.
Bezos. Where do you live? Bezos 9. Ooh. Bezos 9, huh? How you doing? You okay? Yeah. You all right? Over there on Bezos 9?
It's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not Bezos Prime,
Yeah, and I don't want to I don't want to brag.
Oh, you're on Bezos Prime?
I just upgraded to Bezos Prime. And honestly,
Dude,
it only added another 30 years to my labor contract. And
that's incredible.
And it only took I was taking home 7% of my pay, and now I'm taking home 3%. But I think it's worth it. I think it's worth it for the views. And I think it's
the views are simulated and quite spectacular.
Yeah.
But I feel like you're gonna feel the hit on the. But you know what they say? Money doesn't buy happiness. So
yep.
I'm sure that'll be fine.
Would you rather live on the surface of another planet, or would you rather live in a floating orbiting space city?
I'm persuaded by this floating orbiting space city, because basically it's not creating. The idea is it's creating an Earth-like place that's not Earth, rather than going to this other place and trying to survive on that place.
Yeah, it's not all. Right? It's not all airlocks and platforms and weird stuff like that kind of sci-fi.
Exactly.
It is. There would be parks and there would be outdoors areas
and gravity. There'd be fucking gravity.
Or
like we would. You can't do that on Mars.
Or like not if you didn't want it. Probably you could probably like go somewhere that didn't have gravity for a little while. And that's the thing is like Mars.
Oh, yeah.
Let me tell you something, Jeff. In my youthful exuberance, when the Mars One project first came out, I was like, maybe I would go. But then, like, the more I thought about it, the more I was like, no, we say pioneers, and we mean it in like the 21st century way, where we're saying, oh, this person is pioneering something, like they're creating something new, like it's an innovation. We think about it that way. No, the first people that go to Mars will be pioneers, as in died of typhoid.
Yes. Yeah. Die of space madness or whatever the hell we discover there.
You're going to rip a tiny pin-sized hole in your wall and wake up yanked through your own wall and asphyxiated.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to be on Mars. You don't want to be the first to go to Mars. No. But first to go to the luxury orbiting space planet, that's all right. I mean, that's pretty all right.
I feel like this is something that the Bezos Corporation should really look into. I mean, there's a reason he personally financed The Expanse, right?
I think
because he's into this shit.
It's either going to be him or Musk. One of those two dudes is going to own it, and it's going to be real edgelordy either way. But it might be beautiful. It might be a beautiful, wonderful place to live. Who knows? Would you rather live on a floating, orbiting space planet, or on a brand new planet that's natural and made of actual planet? You should let us know. We should talk about it in the Discord.
That's a place to go to talk about stuff.
We got a Discord, and it's great, and everybody's in there, and they're having a wonderful time. And I don't want you to have FOMO, but it's like. It's better. It's better than other Discords. Sorry, I said it.
$1 a month gets you access to the Discord. It's the best folks are there, and you can be one of them. $1 a month. Up from there, check out the rewards over at patreon.com/wehaveconcerns.
Just give away your money. You can't buy happiness.
No,
unless you buy it for us. You can only buy happiness. I forgot that the study said you can only buy happiness for other people.
Or two very specific other people.
You can't buy it for yourself. Doesn't work.